to at QPR Preview Show, episode 7 of 23-24. This week, ahead of a Friday night televised trip to Birmingham. Just want to make you aware before we start, got some new stats this week in the scrolling bar at the bottom of the screen, which you'll see throughout the show, such as average possession, passing accuracy, a few things like that. Now, we've been quite positive by QPR standards in recent weeks, but there certainly weren't as many positive this week. We'd hoped for 4 points, maybe even 6 points in the 2 home games. Well, of course, we came away with just 1 point. I guess we have to be grateful we showed some good spirit to get the equaliser against Swansea. Well, let's start back on Saturday with the 3-1 defeat against Sunderland. A frustrating match. Would have been nice to see how it had panned out, obviously, with us 1-0 up if it had stayed 11 versus 11. But for me, Sunderland looked better than us before we scored, and we were probably lucky in the end that it only ended up 3-1.
Yeah, it wasn't a good performance, was it? We started okay, and we obviously got the lead. I thought we looked reasonably good, but then after the sending off, it was one-way traffic, really, wasn't it? We didn't seem to have a plan with the ball. We were reasonable without the ball. They had a decent shape about them to try and stop Sunderland, and they were a bit fortunate with the equaliser when there was a deflected goal. But second half, it was. I mean, it could have been about 5 or 6, couldn't it? They were absolutely ripping us apart, and the plan just seemed to be we'll sit on the edge of our own box and hopefully we'll nick something on the break. And you could just see within 2 or 3 minutes of the second half, they're going to score. You need to do something else. And, you know, when we did have a little bit of position at 2-1, you know, it wasn't for very long. We looked like we could do something, but, you know, you can't sit without the ball all up and expect to do anything, can you, really? Obviously down to 10 men, and it was a very hot day. It's made it difficult for them, but and Sunderland are a good side, I think. But yeah, it felt like a few steps backwards on Saturday, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the timing of the goal knocked the stuffing out of us because we already looked knackered, I thought, before half time. So this QPR side right now, it's just not good enough, is it, to play against 11 men with only 10 men? With 11 men, we struggle against most teams. So it was a big ask. But I did think that maybe getting into half-time, even though it was 1-1, we were still level in the game. There might have been a bit more of an idea of how to attack the second half, but it wasn't really there. Sunderland, good value for the win. On the red card, it was a red. I think most of us agree. But there's an image I've got here of Luke O'Nien bossing the referee, telling him what to do. And that's 35 seconds before the callback challenge. Should it be allowed? Sunderland were doing it all afternoon. I'm convinced it did influence the ref, maybe not in the callback one particularly, but across the whole game. Because when you're watching it at the time, that bit of there with the image of O'Nien, I said to my dad when we were watching it, our next challenge now is going to be a yellow no matter what happens. It just so happened that the next challenge was the red one. What did you make of it all?
Yeah, he seemed quite inexperienced, the ref, I thought, on Saturday. He allowed Sunderland players to dictate what was going on. I thought he should have kind of got a grip of the game earlier. There was a challenge by Smith when he shoved someone into the advertising audience. He really should have been booked for it, but he kind of let it go and he let a few other things go. And you could see Sunderland players were getting wound up and they were getting in his ear and the crowd were on him. And like you say, you could see, right, next tackle was a booking, and it was a pretty awful tackle, really. I mean, he had to go. But you know, the players were surrounding him, and I thought they did it all game, really. They refereed the game themselves, didn't they? And I didn't think you were supposed to do that anymore. You were supposed to be all these rules that, you know, you can't approach the referee, it's just the captain, but that all seems to have gone. But yeah, I didn't think the ref had a particularly good game on that one.
No, they were doing it literally the whole match, weren't they? And you compare that to us against Swansea when the guy puts it in with his hand and only Field seemed to appeal. Begovic, who's the captain, doesn't even seem to acknowledge it. I've seen some people say he maybe didn't see it, but if he can't see it, he shouldn't be our goalkeeper then, because what's he doing? We just maybe still a bit too nice, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that handball was so blatant. We were all like, did we really see that? Everyone around me was like, that happened, didn't it? And yeah, like you say, we were too nice. It was just, Field was going mad about it. And there was loads of instances in the Swansea game where, again, you were just getting frustrated with it. Swansea players sitting down, wasting time. And we just seem to go, oh, well, just wandering around, you know. You do need to be a bit nasty at times. Everyone else is. There's no point us all being nice and trying to pretend everything's going to be fair, because it won't be. You know, you need a few more players like Field in the team, really. I mean, that's kind of what Colback's come in for, really, isn't it? But obviously he was the one who got sent off for the weekend.
Yeah. On the Swansea match, the performance seems to have split fans a little bit. Some think we were decent, unlucky not to win. Others thought we were below par. Where do you stand?
Very mixed on it. I thought we started poorly. I thought we just didn't do anything first 15 minutes, just let Swansea come at us. And the goal was obviously handball, it shouldn't have been allowed, but we've gifted it to them. It's a poor goal to give away. And we were just letting Grimes in midfield dictate the game. He had so much space. But then I thought we did come back into it well. We kind of got on top. And you can't fault the effort of the players. They are really trying. And they definitely deserved a point by the end of it. I thought there was some positive stuff, something to come back and get something in the end. I mean, we didn't look like scoring, did we? But we got there in the end. There was some positives. I thought Chair was good. I thought Smith played well. Dykes looked good when he come on. But again, like Saturday, it's just not enough on the ball. They don't seem to know they don't have long spells of possession. We're not trying to break teams down. It was very much like it's like rock and roll the way Ainsworth is. It was sort of like try and cause chaos, that kind of stuff, up and at them, which can work, but it feels like you needed like something else, as well as that.
Yeah, for me, I just found it a little bit of a step backwards after recent performances. I thought we were better against Ipswich at home when we lost, but obviously we got a draw against Swansea. But it still felt a little bit to me like too much like last season's performances. You just mentioned it. We didn't really look like scoring for large parts of the game. A lot of huffing and puffing. Their goalkeeper didn't really have anything to do. And this was against a team that was low on form, confidence. I was a bit disappointed, but like you said, we did deserve the draw. I just maybe was hoping for a little bit more. But felt like to me, and we touched on it last week, came up at the fans forum as well. The home record, it's becoming a weight on the shoulders, clearly, isn't it? And I think that is influencing the performances.
It definitely is, and it's such a puzzle with it because it's not like the crowd are on the team's back at home. They haven't been really. Even last season, they weren't getting a lot of stick until they were like 2-3 down. Then they were getting a bit of stick. But from the start, I think even like the Swansea game last night, everyone was behind them and they were like willing them on to the end. It just seems to be a mental block. I mean, potentially maybe that late goal and coming back and getting something might spark them, and you might see home form improve from there. But it definitely has to. I mean, this is not like a 5 or 6 game thing. This goes back to last year. Even under Bill, we weren't that great at home under Bill. We only won a couple of home games under him before he left. It's really got to improve. It's been a long time that this home form has been poor.
Yeah, hopefully it can improve. But Coventry's the next home match, so I don't think it gets much easier, does it? But at least we've got a goal at the loft end, so that's one of the monkeys off the back. Let's move on then. Preview the Friday night clash against Birmingham. Live on Sky, which really rarely bodes well for us. Thankfully, we haven't actually been on much in 2023, but I think Reading last October was the last time we won as a main match on Sky. And of course, it was the QPR defeat at Birmingham 11 months ago on a very similar Friday night TV match, which kind of started the demise, the long decline for QPR that we're still trying to obviously recover from now. For Birmingham's point of view, John Eustace doing a superb job, especially when you consider where they were when he took over. A great appointment for them, and he's just taken them forwards, isn't he?
Yeah, they seem to have a lot going from them. They've had a takeover. They look like a lot fresher and a lot more exciting than they have for a few years now. And they did well last season. You would have thought last year they'd struggle and be down the bottom, but they kind of never were in any real trouble last year. They were comfortably mid-table, really, and they look pretty good this year. They've got the guy as it Stansfield from Fulham who's scoring goals from. That's good. They're a decent side. They'll have ambitions to be a lot higher up the league this year now. They've got like the money that's come in, like Tom Brady's involved, isn't he? So that maybe puts a bit more pressure on John Eustace this year. But it's problems we'd like to have, really, isn't it? I think they look pretty good, and you'd think comfortably mid-table team this season.
Yeah, Stansfield, you mentioned there, 3 goals in 5 games. We were linked with him. Maybe one we've missed out on there. He looks like a very good player. John Eustace, you wonder where his managerial career is going to end up. And then we're going to always think, what happens if we'd just given him the job here? That'll always be a question mark with him, I think. For Birmingham, form-wise, it is 2 defeats in a row. They've had a good start overall, but this week they've had defeats away at Watford and Preston after an unbeaten first 5 games. So they're not going to be on to return to St Andrews and make it 3 defeats in a row, are they? So kind of probably not catching them at the right time.
Yeah, it's a big game for them. I say with the new owners now, they're not going to want to see a drop like 3-4 defeats in a row, so they're going to need to win their home games, and it's probably not great timing to play them. But we've got a reasonable record up there. It's like any team in the Championship. You can build them up, but none of them are world beaters, really. They're all beatable. If we go up there with a game plan that we've had in recent away games, we've got a decent enough chance of getting something from the game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, on paper, they're no better than Middlesbrough, and we won there, are they? So, as much as Eustace, we're giving him some praise there, but he did sign Ethan Laird, and he actually paid money for Tyler Roberts. So, both shock horror, they're both out injured.
No.
So he probably won't be able to give them a nice warm reception. What do you think he was doing signing, particularly Roberts? Where's that sign? Why did he sign him?
Roberts makes no sense to me whatsoever. Laird is a good signing. He is potentially a very good right back, and they got him pretty cheap, didn't they? So I get why they've signed him. But yeah, Roberts, I just don't get at all. He just, even when he was fit at the start of last season, he just didn't look all that. And that's a bizarre signing to me to make. And like, it's not a shock that he's injured already. I doubt they'll get much out of him this season.
No, he's got some serious underlying injury issues, hasn't he? Just glad he's not back at QPR. From a QPR perspective, maybe we've touched on it. It's a good thing to get away from Loftus Road, because without doubt, our best performances under Ainsworth in his whole tenure so far have been away from home. Maybe suits our counter-attacking style more, do you think?
I think so. I think there's probably less pressure to be on the ball away from home. They can like play on the counter attack. They got the pace of Smith and Armstrong on the break that can cause teams problems. I think that kind of works in our favour. I think it's similar to the Middlesbrough game. It's one of them that don't do nothing stupid the first 20 minutes. Don't give them anything. If we give them an early goal away, it's a long night for us. Stay in the game as long as you can, and then hopefully Nick won't have something to hold on to. It doesn't sound that optimistic sounding like that, does it? But that's kind of what they need to do on Friday.
No, I agree with you. In terms of the QPR team, I like to see Sinclair Armstrong was very clearly only allowed an hour against Swansea, literally 60 minutes, and he was off. Lyndon Dykes was only given 30 minutes in each game. Do you assume that was with the intention that they now play together in this one?
Possibly. I was surprised they didn't both start in the Swansea game. I thought that's what he'd do with that one. I'm not sure what he'll do. Armstrong's played quite a lot recently. He played a couple of games for Ireland during the break, and he was looking very frustrated last night, especially in the second half. I wonder if you might just start Dykes, keep Willock in the side, and then maybe bring Armstrong on last 25, 30 minutes, add a bit of pace up front. It's a difficult choice for him, With Cole back out, the balance of the team didn't feel right against Swansea. I thought Willock did okay, but it was hard to really know where he was playing. He's not a midfield player. He wasn't playing out wide. He was kind of just roaming everywhere. So we do lack a little bit of balance in midfield without Cole back. And you're looking at the bench, there's not much else to pick from, really, is there?
No, definitely not. You touched on Willock there. It felt to me like he needed a performance to earn his place in the side, and he wasn't horrendous. It's odd, isn't it? It's almost like he just doesn't feel comfortable yet in the shape, the formation. But it also feels like nothing's coming off for him like it was 12 months ago. When he tries to roll players, he just doesn't come away with the ball like he was last year. I don't think his attitude was a concern in the game, but footballing wise, it's just not happening for him now. I think he might go with Dykes and Armstrong together, but I can see what you're saying. Armstrong coming off for the last 30 minutes, he has more of an impact sometimes, doesn't he? You touched on the squad, not many other options. But I was quite surprised against Swansea that he only made 3 subs, because he touched a few times upon how it was a tough week. We've got 7 days and only in 3 games. He even said in the fans' forum that he was going to switch it around more, but he didn't really make any changes. Is there anyone else you can think he'd change? Because he did talk about rotation, but we're not really seeing it.
I think he spoke about rotation, but when you're losing at home, and they needed a result against Swansea, there's no doubt about it. You couldn't really afford to take off your better players and rest them, really. He had to keep Chair on for the whole game last night. He had to keep Field on and Dazelle. He probably would have liked to have put like Duke McKenna on, or, maybe Dixon Bonner come on for a little bit, but they had to get something last night. If they'd lost that game, he was, under pressure again, quite early. It's not, it's been a, performance-wise, it's been an okay start to the season, but you look at the results, and it's not great on paper, really, is it? We're still losing a lot of games. But I say, other than whether he plays Dykes and Armstrong or Willock against Birmingham, I can't see many other changes he can make, really.
Yeah, I agree, because Adoma looks completely out of favour now, doesn't he? Coley and Kelman, realistically, you can't see him starting either of them. He doesn't seem to have quite enough faith in Duke McKenna or Dixon Bonner to start them, like you said. And in the absence of Colback, they're not even getting a start. So it doesn't bode well for them really long term. I suppose it's only maybe Clark Salter we might see, but I don't think he's going to unsettle the defence because we've not been horrific at the back for the most part, have we? Looks like we might have a new signing as well, Reggie Cannon, USA international right back. On paper, a right back with pace is exactly what we need. Are you going to be happy with that signing if it's official? Maybe it's official by the time you're watching us, but not right now.
I mean, I won't pretend to have seen him play, but he sounds promising. He's a position they do need to strengthen in. I thought the start of the Swansea game when he was playing with Smith as a wing back, again, they were kind of causing a lot of problems down that side. He's good going forward, Smith, but he's not a defender. He gets beaten a lot there, and that pulls Kakai out of position, and teams are having a bit of joy down there. Sunderland, they had a lot of joy down that side. So having a proper right back or him playing right wing back I think will help. And it adds competition for Kakai as well. You can't realistically go in the season with only him as your right back. He's done okay so far, but you need a bit more. So yeah, promising signing if it does come off.
Yeah, I think he does sound promising, especially, I mean, to be honest, anything with pace I'll be happy with because our team just always needs more pace. And like you mentioned, it gives chance for Smith to play further forward more often. Before our predictions, the final word this week should go to Ilias Chair, who's going to make his 200th QPR appearance this weekend. First QPR player to make that since Neda Manua. In this day and age, it's a superb achievement, isn't it?
It is, and there was times last night in the game I just was thinking, what is he still doing here? He's the one player we've got that he's good on the ball. His first touch is brilliant. He tries to use the ball well. He just wish he had a bit more around him that could help him out a bit. It's an excellent achievement to reach 200 games. Hopefully he plays a lot more for us because I think he's been good for us over the years.
Yeah, I hope he stays for another 200 games, to be honest. And like you said, I'm amazed this summer that no one took a gamble on him because with some better players around him, he could be a star. But I'm just glad he's still at QPR. But yeah, what an achievement, 200 games. Prediction time then. Friday night on TV, remember. Are you holding out much hope?
Yeah, the TV thing worries me. We're not very good on Sky, are we? But I think we can get something up there. I think it's one. I don't think there's much expectation from the fans about this one, but I think we can go up there and get another draw. I think it'll be a difficult game. We can't concede early. If we concede early, then I don't fancy us at all. But if we can keep it tight early on, I think we can get a draw up there.
Yeah, I do think we need the first goal. The Swansea performance has taken away a little bit of my confidence. I don't know, fatigue a factor as well. And as what I mentioned before, Birmingham, I don't think they're going to want to lose 3 games in a row. Don't want to be too negative, but I think at best we might get a draw. We'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong. QPR surprise us, don't they? We you know what? Typical QPR. We don't win the home matches against a team like Swansea when they're down at the bottom, and we could go away and beat Birmingham when we don't expect to. It's the QPR way. Next week it'll be another double header. We've got Coventry and Leeds. If you've got £45 spare to go up there, we'll be back to preview that. And until then, as always, come on, you horse.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.